For a year and a half, we basically lived on the breadline. You know, Cassia was covering the bills. I was earning little to very no money, just whatever shows I played, which was very little at that time. It was a very tough time in my life, but you know, when I look back on it now, it had to happen. I think it had to happen for me to get where I am now. And I think Cassia said to me on numerous occasions, you know, do you think this is really how we should be going here? And I always believed that it was going to happen for me.
My name is Viktor Kidson and I'm here in Sydney with Andrew Liggett, also known as Sneijder. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Tired, but good. Two amazing shows down here. It's always great to be back in Australia, obviously. And two amazing shows so far. Two more to go. And yeah, feeling tired, just catching up on some sleep as best as I can. But this is the travel life, you know. But yeah, feeling good, man.
You're traveling with Shugs. What is that like?
Yeah, it's good to be. I mean, we're both on the same agency, and you know, we're both really good friends. We have the same sort of banter and stuff. So I mean, me and Shugs get on really, really well. So it's good to be traveling with him, and you know, I sort of see a bit of myself in Shugs when I was up and coming as well. So you know, we can bounce off each other and we'll have a bit of fun, and it sort of lightens up the tour. And yeah, it's enjoyable, man.
Last time we did an interview, it was a couple of years ago now. We went into Everything Changes, your artist album.
Yeah.
This time I thought we'll still talk about music, but it's going to be a bit more on the personal side. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
So I thought we'd go back to where it all started. Tell me about the shed.
Oh, the shed is sort of iconic in me growing up. I mean, the shed is like it was obviously just a shed at the back of my parents' house where it all started for me. There was no heating in it. It was just like, you know, freezing the winters. So I got my first set of turntables and just put them out there, and every day after school I would go straight out there and practice from like, you know, 4 p.m. until like it was dark every single day. On the weekends, you know, my friends would come down and we'd party there, and just, you know, the after party was always there after the club until the early hours. And you know, if those walls could talk, man, they would tell you some stories. But yeah, that was. Every time I go to my parents' house, even now, I like sometimes have a wee look. It has like still got the musty smell I've had over all those years. And you know, my turntables, testament to them, Technic 1210s, have lasted winter after winter. And you know, the weather in Ireland isn't that good at the best of times. So I don't know how they've done it, man. Even all my equipment lasted.
Are they still out there now, or?
No, I brought them out. I have them at home now, and actually got them serviced and cleaned and stuff. But
they lasted out there.
They lasted out there, man. Like, went no heating in there, and it was like freezing all the time, and you know, party after party, and they just stood the test of time. But yeah, it was an iconic place for me growing up.
And I hear that you always had your sister with you, and she had to listen to every single mix.
Yeah, my sister was like not really. She loved the clubbing aspect of it, but she wasn't into like the more details that I was. I was very, you know, full on, very intense with the music, and I would always let her hear the mixtapes and stuff, and you know, she'd give me feedback and whatever. But yeah, I mean, she looked at it in a completely different way. I think half the time she was just telling me it was good because she wanted to be nice to me, you know. But for me,
I actually spoke to her, and she actually did that because she didn't really know what she was listening for or after, so she always gave her seal of approval.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I mean, it was good for me breaking through as a DJ, you know, to have that encouragement and people tell you that what you were doing was right, even though it wasn't. Well, not that it wasn't, but you didn't really know at that time whether it was or not. So, you know, yeah, growing up was like that for me. My sister would give me feedback, and you know, on the tunes, and I would mix a lot and tape after tape every week and make my own wee mix compilations and stuff. And you know, I drove people crazy, to be honest.
And then you actually brought her around to go to record shops all over the country as well.
Yeah.
You guys traveled together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I used to go to like various record shops in Belfast, you know, on the weekends, and back in those days, vinyl was pretty expensive for like a teenager like me. You would get like the white labels of the imports, and they would cost you like between £15-20 maybe. And I only had a part-time job, and it was a lot of money for me at that time. So you would go down and you would sift through the records and you would pick out what you liked, and you'd have to leave some behind, unfortunately, but you really knew that you wanted and you had the money, and it was heartbreaking. But when you got home, you played those vinyls to absolute death, because you'd spent. And even now, I have all my vinyls, and people say to me, would you ever sell one? And I say I would never sell one of them, because when I look at those vinyls, it's just not a piece of plastic to me. It's like a journey and a story, and those train journeys going down to Belfast, and the whole nostalgia of like band music and a place and a time in my life. So they mean a lot to me. And yeah, my sister would always be there, and she would come around with me to the shops, and we would like record shop, and like I said, I drove everybody mad. I had like music, trying to push music onto everyone at that age, yeah.
Did you knew back then already that you would like work in music full time, or that you would become a DJ? Like, could you see that?
I think back then there wasn't so much like social media and stuff, so there wasn't like the clubbing movement was really big. It was all happening, but it was all very fresh to a lot of people, if you know what I mean. Like the rave scene, the culture, even the trance scene and stuff, it was all very, very fresh. So to say that I wanted to have a career in music, or I wanted to, that's what I would end up doing as my career, I didn't actually really know. Obviously I wanted to be a DJ, I wanted to be involved in music, but I didn't know if that would happen, because there were so many people doing it, there were so many talented people. It was so tough to break through, and not saying it's easier now, but it's a lot with social media. It's a lot. I think it's like it is a wee bit easier, because you have like so much spread and like so many different things. But for me, I don't know, man. It was just like I always felt like I would do music, but I didn't know if that would be the case. I mean, I worked on a building site for many years, and that was my thing. And I always dreamt about being a DJ, and just hoped it would happen. And I guess it was a wee bit of luck along the way, and like different things that was instrumental in pushing me up there. And I just think you have to have like a lot of self-belief. I think self-belief is like key in anything that you're doing. No matter what life throws at you, you have to have that self-belief if you're going to be successful at anything. So to answer your question, I did and I didn't. It was tough. It was tough to like call it, because you have to be real with yourself at the same time. A lot of people want things in life and they just don't get them, no matter how hard they work and try, and they're not different than anybody else. Luck has a certain aspect to play in that, and circumstances as well. I know a lot of people that have their circumstances has changed their path because financial reasons or whatever, they've had to like go a different way, and that's life, man. So I can't really put a finger on, but me personally, I had a really, really strong self-belief that I was going to be a DJ.
Was there a moment when you doubted that, like when you almost gave up on those dreams?
Yeah, I mean, around 2008, I think it was, when I was working in construction, the whole global economy crash happened. It was like, it affected a lot of people in Northern Ireland, especially because the Northern Ireland people are all industry, construction industry based, workers. There's a lot of tradesmen, a lot of like construction workers and stuff. So it hit a lot of me and a lot of my friends like really hard. And at that time, I didn't really know what I was going to do financially, because yes, I was doing music on the side, not producing but DJing. Just like I was playing like the odd club here and there, and I was trying to pursue my dream like any other bedroom DJ or up and coming DJ. But I was looking for that next step, and to have that next step, you need stability in your life. You need to have, the foundation of work on the side, and then it was like your other thing. So when that happened, I thought that this was the end for me, but actually it was the start, because what happened was that I met my now wife, Kasia, who was my girlfriend at the time, and she basically supported us, and I got stuck into music production, and that was sort of instrumental in me taking the next step. So I'm a great believer in sometimes one door closes and you think it's a bad thing, but another one opens, and it's sort of like a way of pushing you on that next step. And for a year and a half, we basically lived on the breadline. Kasia was covering the bills. I was earning little to very no money, just whatever shows I played, which was very little at that time. But I was working in the studio from 9 o'clock in the morning to 10 at night every single day near enough to learn how to produce music. And that time was a very tough time in my life, but you know, when I look back on it now, it had to happen. I think it had to happen for me to get where I am now. And you know, it was tough, but yeah, it was. I do think it definitely had to happen.
You mentioned that you worked at a construction site, and I hear that you also worked in hospital canteen.
Yeah.
Like a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I mean, like I said to you before, back in the days, vinyl were so expensive, so I was taking on as many jobs as possible. I've done so many jobs, man, over the years. I worked in a chicken factory packing Kievs. I've done working in the hospital. My grandmother got me the job. She actually worked in the kitchen and she got me a job. My job was I would bring the meals up to all the wards on the trolleys and like take them down again. It was sort of like a kitchen porter, it's called. So I done that on the weekends, man, and I used to come into that job like sometimes after partying hard all night and like, you know, I don't know how I done it, but I did it because I knew it was the only way I could get money for vinyls back in the day. They were so expensive. So yeah, I've been through lots of jobs, but man, they're really fun times to me now, you know. Like when I look back on those days, it's part and parcel of your youth and growing up, you know, and like, you know, I sort of miss those days, you know, because it's like, even though it was a struggle, it was so much fun, you know, and yeah, it was an experience, put it that way.
So it's it's interesting that your grandmother got you the job working in the canteen, because I was speaking to your wife before, getting some feedback, and she said that you were actually a bit hopeless in the kitchen. Is that true?
Oh man, I'm like so bad. I'm really, really bad in the kitchen, and I sort of knew she was going to bring this up, to be honest. Because I think it's the only thing she has on me. So for me, yeah, I'm terrible. The thing is, right, and this is actually true, I was speaking to someone about this last night, because I work in construction, because I do music, I really love the creative process, you know, taking something from nothing and making something from it. So if I didn't do any of that, I think I would like to be a chef in my own mind, but it's just that I haven't applied myself to learn anything about food or anything like that. So, you know, like I said, I love the creative process, and I do watch a lot of cookery programs and stuff, believe it or not, because I'm really interested in them. And I just don't think I have the palate for it. I think that's what it is. Even Shug said to me there on the tour, I eat like very bland food. You know, the blander the food, the better for me. That's how I am. I don't like, you know, that's how I am. I can't change myself, and it's just the way my palate is. So, yeah, going back to being a bad cook, yeah, I would say I'm terrible, absolutely terrible.
I hear that it became a thing that you asked for ketchup at Nando's as well.
In here, yeah. Well, to my defence, the Nando's was that bad that I named it. And this was this was my first experience of Nando's ever. I'd never tasted it before until this tour, and Shug's brought me. So we had the Nando's anyway, and you know, it came out, but it wasn't great, to be honest. It didn't look great to me, so it had to have ketchup on there just to kill the taste. Give us some sort of familiarity of like something that I could, you know.
Yeah. But Kasia, your wife, also said that you're very romantic.
Really?
Yes.
I would like to consider myself to be a bit of a romantic. I'm a very family oriented man, so for me, I do whatever I can to make up for all the time that I'm away, because I know that this job can be tough. It's like you're away on the road a lot, and I think a lot of people don't see the side that, you know, you're traveling, but you're also in the studio all week, so you have no time off whatsoever. It's very, very time consuming. You have to have very high dedication. And I'm running a label also, you know, I'm doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I do most of the stuff myself. It's very, very time consuming. And for me, you know, you have to have that wee bit of like spark and romance in your relationship to keep things going. And it's like, I consider myself to be a bit of romantic. I'm not going to go into details now on camera, but yeah, she's got a good one there now.
I hear that you and your sister are also used to enjoy singing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more my mum was sort of trying to force me down that way, because my auntie is actually was actually a really famous singer. She sung in the Eurovision for Ireland and stuff. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so it was it's sort of like a family thing, you know. And I think my mum was more or less trying to push both of us into something like that. My sister went to dance classes and she tried to push me into singing. So I tried my hand on it when I was young, but I think I was terrible. I honestly think that I can't really sing, but she was always encouraging me to do it. And yeah, it was a part of my life that I'd rather forget, because I was interested in other things when I discovered music, obviously, and I was trying to pursue that and push myself that way, but my mum had completely other ideas which was not fitting in with my agenda at all.
But from what I heard, you had a favorite track to sing and to maybe tap dance to.
I don't know about dancing. Yeah, I love, like, back in the days whenever I was really into music, when I first discovered music, I loved to like sing and dance to it, and it was like my whole thing at home. But I didn't really know the effect music was having on me. You know, it was only over the years I realised that I was absorbing it all at that time, and it was sort of finding my path and what I really wanted to do. You know, when you first hear music back in the days when you're younger and stuff, it's just like within one ear and out the other and whatever. But I would have an obsession with it. I was like listening to it, breaking it down, you know, trying to break it up and see what it was all about, and like in my head mentally. And that's when I started to realise that I loved Michael Jackson as well. Back in the days, you know, when I was growing up, I loved his like the dancing, all the moves like towards the music, and that fascinated me, you know. So yeah, I'd say that was part and parcel of my entry level into music and how I processed music, and the whole way what really got me into it. Yeah.
And Singing in the Rain was a bit of a favourite. No?
Singing in the Rain, I don't know. Somebody threw that in as a curveball. Definitely not.
Your sister threw that in as a curveball. Actually, that was your favorite track to perform. Maybe
back in the day, yeah, when I was really young, growing up. I mean, I can remember some stuff and some tunes, whatever, but not specifically. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you had a dream about actually becoming a DJ? If we go from listening to music as a kid to visualizing yourself as a DJ.
Yeah, that happened a lot actually. I mean, you know, I used to think, even when I was at home practicing, that I was standing in nightclubs. That was my like thing, my visualization, and I had like, you know, many times that was the illusion that was going to be me. And you know, I really dreamt about it a lot, like really hard. I thought about it a lot, and you know, like I said before, back then there wasn't the opportunities there is now, so I thought it was only a dream, but I still believed that it was going to happen. And you know, I think like doing the mixtapes and the CDs that I made, there was a certain aspect when you were on your own, and like, you know, making those 3 or 4 times that you thought you were in like a nightclub, and it was a whole like, you know, thing. But yeah, I did that a lot actually. Yeah.
I hear that your father is also a big fan of electronic music.
Huge. My father's 67, I think now. He'd kill me if I get that wrong, but he's like around that age. And he listens to loads of Armen van Buuren. Like every Christmas I would buy him the new Armen CD that came out, and he would sit on his own, stick it on, watch it before he goes to the pub, drink like a couple of bottles of red wine, hit the pub, and then mingle with the old men, like really say nothing about it. But he loves like trance music. It's funny sometimes when I come home and he says the name of DJs and he gets it like completely wrong, and he asks me, do I know these DJs, and he says like a name that he searched up on YouTube and he gets it completely wrong. But he actually has like I've seen this, I don't know when he watches this if he knows I know this. He has like a wee book sitting beside his stereo, and he writes down all the names of the DJs, and whatever ones he likes the best he marks them in pink fluorescent marker, and then he searches them on YouTube before he goes out. So I don't know if he knows I know that, but I've seen that book, and I actually think I took a photo of it to post it one time, but I don't want to try and embarrass him. But yeah, he loves trance music, and you know, I think he's a big fan of my music as well, I hope.
Yeah, what does he think about your music?
I think he doesn't say much to me, to be honest. He's sort of like typical Irish father that doesn't say anything about anything. There's no like dialogue really there. It's just like nodding, or like, you know, this is how it is between.
That might be the approval that you get then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's proud of how far I've came in the music industry and the music that I make, and I know he does listen to my music. He just never tells me.
But I've heard that he has the idea that you will be the next Armen.
Really?
That's what your sister said, that
Oh.
your dad keeps saying that you will be the next Armen. Maybe he says that out of your, like, when you're not there or something like that.
No, he hasn't said that to me, but yeah, let's hope so. I mean, everybody's working towards that goal to be as big and as best as they can. You know, to say I'm going to be as big as Armen's would be a tough one, but you know, look, I just work as hard as I can work, try and be the best I can be at no matter what I do, whether it's DJing, making music, and we'll see where it takes me, you know.
Your sister told me that the whole family is unbelievably proud of your hard work and where you're at right now.
Yeah.
But what did the grind look like? Like working to where you are, or even the shed days? Like, what did that hard work look like for you?
It was tough, a lot of rejection, a lot of hard times financially. You know, I went through, I think, like 3-4 years of like complete hardship when I lost my job, and it was really, really tough. And I think Kasia said to me on numerous occasions, you know, do you think this is really how we should be going here? And I always believed that it was going to happen for me, because I was reaching small goals behind the scenes, even though I wasn't, people weren't seeing it on the outside. I knew that I was making small steps, like getting into Paul Van Dyk's inbox with Bandit on my first track, things like that. Even though the track wasn't released yet, I knew I was in there with Paul Van Dyk and he had signed the track. But I think a lot of people around me, like my parents and family, didn't really understand the significance of something like that back then. I was a young DJ breaking through. And, you know, for me, when I think back in those days, I had a lot of self-belief, a lot. And I think you need it in this industry. And I think it's something that's really missed now. It's like, you know, you have to have the hard times to enjoy the good times. That's the way I always look at things. And, you know, I sacrificed countless weekends out with my friends after a while because I knew it had to go into production. My friends were out partying. Do you want to come see DJs? I was at home making music. That went on for like maybe, you know, 3-4 years, like head down, like totally focused. And, you know, then obviously I met John O'Callaghan, sent him some music, and John helped me out a lot, you know, from advice to taking on some of my first early stuff on Subculture, and things sort of snowballed from there. But, you know, it wasn't an easy road by any means to get there, and I think like it's probably something a lot of up and coming DJs that need to realise that, you know, it is hard work. It's not, you don't walk into a room, switch on a switch and it happens for you. It doesn't work like that. There is going to be rejections along the line. There is going to be hard times, but you have to, you know, take it on the chin, move on, do the best, be the best that you can be at all times, and, you know, no one can take it away from you.
When your grandmother passed away, on the day of her funeral, you were booked to play a gig. What was that like? Because you live this life of traveling and DJing, and you have to be everywhere. What was that like?
I've never spoken with this to anyone actually. This was only a few months ago, and I was standing, no one knows this actually, I was standing in the State of Trance playing a guest mix, and my grandmother was getting buried, and it hit me really, really hard because we were really close. But I know that that's what she would have wanted me to do, because she was so proud of how far, she always told me that. And I was promoting my live CD, and it was tough for me knowing my whole family was there. I spent like 2 or 3 days, obviously, before I went to Holland for the State of Trance mix at our house by our side. It was in the wake, and, you know, she was in the coffin. All the family was there, and it was really tough for me. You know, I'm not an emotional person, but that was tough, really tough.
And I know that she would have wanted you to go through with that as well, and I'm pretty sure that she was with you when you were doing it
100%, 100%. She always told me how proud she was, what I was doing. She was always asking me what countries I'm playing in next, and, you know, saying the town that I grew up in it's a tough town to grow up in, you know, and there's not many people get the opportunity to do things like that, and she was very proud of me, I know that. So
you built your first studio 2009, right?
Yeah.
And then your first tracks actually snowballed pretty quick. Like The Future was picked up by a lot of people right away. What was that feeling like?
The first studio that I set up was just a minimal setup. It was more or less a bedroom, spare bedroom. And I started into production to make my own music, and I think I picked it up pretty quick because of being a DJ for so long prior. I sort of knew what I wanted, and I knew to work on what I thought worked on the dance floor. It was just a matter of probably, refining my quality of production. It was more the ideas were there. It was just, getting the ideas from my head to the computer was the issue, the technical side of things, I suppose. And we made the first track, The Future, which probably wasn't, it's probably a track that if I listen back to now, it's completely different from any of the music that I've made after that, because I was finding my feet, and the sound at that time was different. But Armen played it a lot, I picked it up and he played it a lot, Paul Van Dyke played it, and then after that, the second track I made was Away From Here, I think it was. It was more on the trance, uplifting trance vibe, and Paul Van Dyke picked it up for Vandit, and I think that was the very first track that I made that I felt sort of, okay, I've crossed the line here. I've made something that I feel like is actually really playable in my sets that I would play. And I sent the track to John O'Callaghan. John really liked it, and he said, he told me that to keep him updated with all of my new stuff, and he was going to be starting a label soon, and then I made my first EP for Subculture after that. It was called On Tomorrow and Facelift, and one was like a hardish trance sound, and the other one was a full-on tech trance tune. So yeah, the sound has changed and progressed over the years, I think, but I'm really happy with how my sound has been over the last 4 or 5 years, I would say. I've really found what I've been looking for in music, I think.
If we talk about production, one of my absolute favorite tracks this year is your remix of Stay, Ben Gold.
Yeah.
How did that track come about for you?
The track came about by, I'd done a remix for Ben a few years ago, 3-4 years ago I think it was, and it was for Garth Emery's label, so we sort of had been in contact, me and Ben, which, we're sort of friends outside the scene, we speak sometimes, and Ben likes my music, and he just put it on the table. He says, look, I have a track here, if you're interested in remixing, what do you think? And he sent it over. And at first, when I first heard it, I wasn't sure about it, to be honest. And then the next day, I went into the studio and I started to play around with some like instrumental stuff of my own, like melodies and stuff, and I put the vocals down. And as soon as I wrote the basic bass line of the melody with the vocal, I knew it was special. And then the more I listened to the lyrics and all, it really touched me, the whole meaning behind the track is obviously about depression and stuff, that's what the track's about. So, the production process took a while. I changed it about 20 times, I think, the melody, the beats and whatever, but I finally got like a playable version. And I think I've played the track in every set since January, and I don't think I'm going to stop anytime soon, to be honest.
No, I don't think you should either, because it's a fantastic, uplifting, gorgeous, beautiful vocal track.
Yeah.
How did you do the uplifting melodies? Like, how did you turn the original melody into that remix that you did?
The original melody is more sort of like a progressive, commercially sort of like melody. It's pretty stripped back, but the chords itself were there. Like Ben had, some really nice piano chords, which enabled me to make some really good melody from the chords. But sometimes when you're making music, if you take like a commercial-ish sort of track and you try to put it to trance and you use those sort of chords, it can sound a bit happy, if you know what I mean, and sort of like doesn't transpire to the sort of trance that I like, which I think I like to make trance, which is uplifting and sad at the same time. It pulls on both those strings, So I tweaked the melody, just played around with the chords and got what I was looking for. And if you actually listen to the track, the first melody that comes in is a different sound than the actual melody that comes in after the break. It's like a church organ. And if anyone knows about synths and stuff, I just put the tack up so that you're not hearing the first part of the note. It's just like, sounds like a swirling sound. And then I drop in the main melody, so it sort of teases it in, and then it drops in after that with the main hook line. And if you also listen right through from when it kicks into the end, the melody goes for so long and changes so many times, different ways, bass notes and all the rest. So I want it to be like a complete journey and not just like be a standard vocal track where you have like section of melody then drop in the vocal. It actually goes 2 or 3 times before it loops 2 or 3 times with like a really good melody, different changes, and then drops in with the vocal and nice plucks and stuff. So I really wanted to tell that story of the vocal and let everything breathe and not just sort of pack it all in for like a 5.5, 6 minute tune, which is the way everything's going now. So I wanted it to be breathe, you know.
Oh, it's an absolutely amazing track. Do you remember the first time you played it out loud for a crowd?
Yeah, it would have been on the tail end of last year. I would say just before Christmas last year, I was road testing it, and a lot of people were asking me what it was, and obviously I couldn't say what it was. But then when I dropped the artwork, and you know, everybody sort of clicked onto it. But it's probably still the most requested set or tune in my set all year, and yeah, like I said, I'm not going to stop playing anytime soon.
That's good. I don't think you should either. Your wife told me that you're also a bit of a sweet tooth. Both you and your daughter like sweets a bit too much. Is that true?
Too much, yeah. When I start going to the gym and like training and stuff, it's the thing that always breaks me. I love like you know, snacks and like things like that. It's just my thing. My dad's actually like that as well. He has a very sweet tooth, so I think I take it from him. And my daughter, we like exactly the same, like sweets, you know. I actually won £1,000 in a packet of crisps, so
I was just going to get to that as well.
So she can't really complain about me eating sweets, whatever. I won £1,000 in the crisps like a couple of weeks ago. So
you got a golden crisp, right?
Yeah, I won. In Northern Ireland, they have like a famous brand of crisps called Tato crisps. They're very, very, very popular in the north, south of Ireland, and sort of iconic, you know, like crisps. I don't think you can get them anywhere else in the world. I'm not sure, but they make them in a place not too far from where I live, Tato Castle. It's iconic, and the crisps have such a unique taste. They're unbelievable. So anyway, I went to the shop and I bought these crisps, and they had 10 golden tickets in 10 packets throughout the north of Ireland. And I found a golden ticket, and I actually thought when I found it that someone in the factory had put it in the crisps as a wind up, because I didn't believe it until I went to the Facebook page to check. Because there was no promotional information on the packets or anything. So yeah, I won £1,000, and you know, got some photographs taken, and it was a whole big thing. And my family keep me going now that I finally made it big in Northern Ireland due to the crisps. So it's a sort of wee in-house joke now among the family. Yeah.
I read in the big winner interview that the money will go to renovations.
Yeah.
How is that going right now at home?
I'm always doing work to the house, no matter. There's always something to be done, because, like I said, I come from a construction background, so I love doing that on the side. I just put a new big wall-mounted fire in my dining room. So yeah, I spent like 2 weeks. About a month ago, had 2 weeks off, and I was like completely stuck into the house. And me and my dad, like, you know, done a lot of work, so that'll go a long way to going towards that.
Do you think that you're the handiest DJ that you know?
100%. Name me one that can do that stuff. No, I mean, I don't know if anyone else is into construction or does anything else. I would think Giuseppe is pretty handy with stuff like that. Comes across as that sort of character for me. I think he would be pretty handy if he applied himself. Now, I don't know if he does or not much work at home, but I would say he'd be pretty good. But anyone else I don't really know of my friends or my DJ friends would be, you know, into construction. I think Brian done some stuff back in the day. I think he was more on the electrician side.
Yeah, you should ask him about that, because apparently he was a very bad electrician.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So don't get him into your house to do anything like
that. Electrics is a completely different thing. You know, it's something I wouldn't touch. You know, like a lot of other trade stuff, but all the bulwark, all the, like, you know, taking down walls and, you know, all that sort of stuff, that's for me. I can do that easily.
You started your own label a couple of years ago. How has things progressed since you did that? Yeah,
I mean, start my own label was always a goal of mine from not from when I first started music, but as soon as I got into the whole day-to-day run of things, I realised about release schedules and how hard it can be to make a tune and get it out there quickly, if you know what I mean, because the scene these days is like all about the now. So sometimes you're waiting on like 8 months, maybe a year before you get a track released because you have to slot it into other people's plans. So releasing my own music quickly was probably part and parcel of the reason why I started the label, to get the tunes out there quickly. And After Dark was, I think it's 2.5 years old now maybe. And I mean, the last 12 months have been unbelievable as far as people picking up. I think when I first started the label, yeah, the music that I was pushing, the tech trance sound was always popular in my opinion among a certain brand of DJs who I like and push the harder sounds, but it's become very prolific now. You know, a lot of people it's playing like the harder sounds has become really big. So I think it's the right time now for the label to grow, and I've signed some amazing artists over the last like 12 months. You know, I've got Shugs on board, Billy Gillies, who's another guy, really rate he's up and coming guy from Northern Ireland, both Northern Ireland guys to be honest, and it's just strange. Just signed a new record from John O'Callaghan under his Joint Operations Centre guys, which is like going to be huge. You know, and plus my own stuff. So the label has gained a lot of weight, especially from Armen as well. Armen has been a massive supporter of the label. He's given me the freedom to bring the live CD concept that I do on the State of Trance and showcase things like that. And he actually spoke to me behind the scenes at a few of the shows and really told me how much he loved the label, you know. So that was a big positive for me. And you know, I run it in conjunction with the guys at Black Hole. They do all the back end stuff and they're just like so easy to work with, you know. They're really flexible. And basically all I have to do is I do all the artwork myself. I pick the tunes and get the tunes signed and they do the contracts or whatever. And you know, it is hard work, I'm not going to say it, but for me it's really enjoyable. And it's something that, you know, I can run nights off and I can do my own concepts, and it's something that I feel has really helped me along the way for my career.
It sounds like it's moving forward, and it is a good time for it right now to expand and to even release more as well.
Yeah.
What can we expect in the future for you?
Lots of new music. I'm working on a new vocal track at the minute. I've just remixed a really old classic track for Armada, which I've been fine-tuning. I've road tested here, it still needs some tweaks. It's a huge track from back in the day when I first broke through as a DJ, so hopefully that's going to be out, I would say, later this year or early next year. Maybe a few more collaborations. I don't know, I just done one with James Diamond and David Forbes and a good friend of mine, Nick Callahan as well. We work pretty well in the studio, so you know, I'm always open for doing some new stuff and new people. I have my live CD concept, which we're working on the next city of, and we'll have that like 80-90% locked in. So just progression with the brand, and you know, keep doing what I'm doing with the DJ sets and the music, and you know, hopefully things progress. I mean, like, I think this year, over the last 12 months, has been probably the most productive time of my career. I think I've released a track every month, near enough. And I can see my speed and quality in the studio getting, you know, better, and I'm just getting quicker at doing things, which is good because, you know, the time you spend on the road, you have less time in the studio. Obviously you wanted to have your family time and like things like that. So yeah, I mean, my career is progressing as I feel like it feels natural to me, you know. It feels like everything's going the way it should be going. So fingers crossed it stays like that.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Pleasure to see you again, man.
Thanks, man.
The funeral thing. I'll put it together, I'll show you, and then you can make a decision afterwards.
No, it's all good, man. I've never spoke about it. No one's ever asked me about it because I just never speak about those things. But
no, your sister mentioned it to me, and I actually didn't put it in because thought it was very personal, but then
Yeah.
it came up as we were talking about it, so I added it in.
The only reason why I don't talk about it is I just get this feeling and I have this thing in my head that people will say, I can't believe he went to like
That's what I thought too.
Amsterdam over the funeral.
Exactly. I
But-
actually mentioned it to my girlfriend Amanda. I'm like, I don't want to put him in that spot where he has to explain how he did that. But you said it well. You said she was a big supporter. You were with the days before.
3 days I sat at
But
the
also
house,
it was
you know,
your
like
freaking like a state of trance studio thing, right?
it was all scheduled in and it would have been
Exactly.
like, but listen, my family comes first, and for me it was, I spent 3 days at the wake with her, like sitting there the whole time, you know, so I knew that what she would want me, she had said, you need to go for that, like, and she would have been there, like you said, for me, but other people sometimes don't see it like that, but listen, I need to stop worrying about what other people think and worry about what it actually is, you know what I mean, because that's all that really matters. So yeah, man, leave it in 100%.
Cool.
So
I think it's good.
yeah, I think it needs to be in there, and I think my grandmother would be proud that I actually spoke about it and how I did, so it needs to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep it for sure.
You cannot see the light. Hold on for dear life. No one comes tonight. You barely feel alive.